Girls5Eva has a little heat.
I feel weird. Is it a mini stroke? No, it's joy.
We have songs. We have buzz.
Yes!
I've had 3 Negronis. Did you just whisper Negronis?
I don't know the history of the word. I was thinking of adding a whoa right before cram it wherever.
My DMs are filthy. I can't even open them up in the train.
So what are you waiting? 5 girls, 5Eva.
Welcome to a closer look at Peacock's Girls5Eva at the Variety Music for Screen Summit. I'm Joe Otterson, Senior TV Reporter at Variety, and I'm excited to hear from the stars of this series as they talk about what it's like to play a 1990s musical act reuniting for one more chance at stardom. Joining me here today in the studio, we have Sara Bareilles, Renee Elise Goldsberry, Paula Pell, and Busy Phillips. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today. And so Girls5Eva Season 1 is out, Season 2 is on the way. Season 1 was incredibly well received. One thing in particular people loved, of course, was all the original music featured in Season 1. And so let's start off with something hopefully fun here. What was the favorite original song y'all got to sing in Season 1?
Oh, wow.
Well, my favorite was 4 Stars, written by this one.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is Dream Girl.
Yeah, I think
Cause our dads are dead, so you never have to meet them and get asked why you left school.
that's, yeah, I would say, sometimes I like break out into Dream Girlfriend.
A lot of earworms from that season.
Wasn't that our first thing that we actually did in terms of like a big music number too? Or was one of the first ones? Because I remember it having a good feeling because of that too.
I remember our first, when we sat around the piano and we had like a proper music, like learning the music session, I just found these voice memos and I think it's hilarious. I was very serious about like the music and reading the notes, and the things you're saying are insane. Like you're just like.
Now Splingy,
Yeah.
the Splingy.
Yeah, it was very funny.
I think Splingy was the hardest for me.
Splingy was hard.
Personally.
Splingy had a lot of words, nonsense words.
And intense choreography.
Yeah. I mean, hip-hop songs do have a lot of nonsense words to them, let's face it, you know. Hip-hop songs. Hipper-hopper songs, that's what they're called, right?
Well, speaking of the humor, of course, Meredith Scardino created the series, executive produced by Tina Fey and Robert Carlock, and now you've all kind of had experience working in the Tina Fey universe, shall we say, for some time now. And so I'm just wondering, given that, I mean, what would you say kind of defines like that style of humor when you're working on the show? There's a certain kind of cadence to it, I've noticed, that people really seem to love.
It's so fast.
Yeah, it just goes like a bullet train, and somehow they figure out how to still have characters that are, you know, beautifully drawn with like heart and everything that you care about, but then the humor is so fast and so sharp and
it's beautifully like very silly and ridiculous, but also really smart.
Yeah.
I think that being on the line of those two things is really hard to do, and there's a lot of Googling on my part of sometimes some of the references, and yet, you know, it's never like highbrow smart. It's just like aware of everything smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I would also say that for me, sometimes, I mean, honestly, sometimes I have to watch it again, even though I was there while we were filming it. And but there are so many visual gags that get put in and things that we, you know, we take a great deal of pride and time in what then ends up being 2.5 seconds on screen when you're watching the show. So sometimes I'll like go back just to rewatch a thing.
Yeah, another thing people really loved about the show, of course, is, I mean, there's kind of the nostalgia angle. You know, the group was very popular in the late 90s going into the early 2000s. And so, I mean, what was it like getting to kind of play with some of those like pop culture references and tropes from that time period?
Well, I think it's hilarious because people are like always telling me, oh, they did this in 1990. I'm like, no, we didn't. Or yes, we did. Like, it doesn't feel like something that's distant from me. I have the same makeup in my bag right now. I'm not kidding. I have the same
You never
clothes.
travel without your caboodles.
Oh my God, but caboodles come back. I have a 13-year-old, and so much of what I had in the mid-late
come back
90s,
around.
my kid is like, I would like a caboodle. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Okay. All right. Okay.
And our wardrobe department orders from. Did you remember Delia's?
Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember that?
of course, Delia's.
That's where they're getting a lot of. So it's things that you knew because we all went through that time period, and
Some of us are still there.
Yeah.
Some of us are a little older and we pretend like we went through that.
And then, given that you also referenced a lot of stuff about, like boy bands and girl groups that were popular at that time. And so, I mean, what were some of the musical references you kind of took cues from in preparing for Girls5Eva?
All of them.
Yeah,
Every
I say
single
that.
one.
I think that's fair.
Every time something stumbles across my radio, I'm like, oh yeah, and that. But yeah, we feel like it's the joy of the show to celebrate the artists of that period. And I think one of the things I was most proud of when we came out was that some of them actually tweeted or posted on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think they saw it not as not as being made fun of, but as being celebrated, which I think was exactly the spirit in which we did it.
Loving homage.
But then for Sara and Renee specifically, given that both of you have such extensive backgrounds in music and performance prior to joining the show, I mean, how did that impact just the way you approached your characters in the show?
It's the safe space for us. We're like, oh yeah, we know how to do this.
yeah, I always feel the most comfortable when we're singing, definitely. But it's interesting because I remember sort of going through the push and pull of like what kind of artist to become, and my peers at the time were, Katy Perry, Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like all of these solo artists that had a very different style than I did, and now to be revisiting that time period in a totally different way is actually really fun because I was and continue to struggle with being so self-serious that I'm just like can't even like relax enough to have fun with it. So it's nice to revisit it in this safe space and wear ridiculous things and just sort of play with this kind of persona that never materialized in my real life. And it's so like, could I have been someone who like relaxed? No, the answer is no. No.
I love the intersection in my career of like different, parts of me coming together, and it's just so satisfying. It's what you get so much in music theater is, the opportunity to do so many different things, and in the realm of television, to be able to do this kind of comedy, this kind of heart, this kind of singing, dancing, choreography. I mean, like all of it kind of finds its way into it, and it feels really wonderful.
And then for Busy and Paula, given the fact that these two have such extensive resumes in music, I mean, was that intimidating for you coming out of
do.
Yes.
What have they, are they, really?
A few hits.
Huh.
I'm not aware.
Unaware.
Some Broadway productions.
I didn't even know going in.
2 total songbirds, completely musical.
Yeah.
Like, and it was not something I knew about either of you going into this. So it was like, I mean, amazing. Great singers, very musical, great rhythm.
The dream for us, well, I can only obviously ever speak for myself, but the dream for me at least is having the support of these 2 professionals who can give us a note, like tell us what the beat is, like how you guys seriously you polish it, and you just help. I just always feel like I'm never gonna fail because I have, well, the 3 of them really, but especially Sara and Renee, who bring all of this musical experience to it.
They also give very gentle suggestions that it doesn't make you feel insecure, because I'm so approval seeking to them because I just worship their musical expertise. And so if they do say, I think it might be this one, and it's like, it's gentle because I don't want to disappoint them ever.
Oh my goodness.
But then on the flip side of that, though, for Busy and Paula, given the fact that you both have such extensive careers in comedy, I was wondering, did you maybe give gentle notes to Sara and Renee during their time on the show?
A lot of affirmation. They give a lot of, I love it when, gosh, when you. It's like, it's a wonderful way. No, it's a wonderful way to keep us feeling, like we're...
They're also ungodly funny and greatly skilled at what they're doing comedy-wise. So I also have spent most of my career as a writer, and I look at the scripts and it's like, their work is done. Like, I don't have, occasionally I'll come up with some little idea that I get excited about of adding one line or something. But like, it is such a gift to not have that writer worry, that adult in the room worry of like having to, you know, I can be the kid for once. So it's thrilling.
Just full disclosure. Full disclosure, guys.
Summer is sneaking in.
Here she is. We've been filming for over 3 weeks now, and I'm saying things like full disclosure in real life. No, but I didn't know how insanely funny and talented you were going to be.
Wow.
I didn't.
No, I feel I am so insecure on set, and I was going to say that I was like, I feel so grateful because I will turn to them in a heartbeat and just be like, I don't know what to do.
But,
oh my God.
I mean, but I would say like in Tina talking to me about the show, and they had, you know, Renee and Sara had already signed on for it, and no joke, I read the script and I was like, well, that's Paula Pell, right? Like, it's going to be Paula Pell, it's Gloria. But I was like, I didn't know if Sara, I was like, well, obviously she did Waitress. But it is a very specific thing, and their rhythm is really, and I just remember being on set like the first day and coming home and Mark saying, like, how was it? How was it? And I was like, it's so funny, it's so good, it's so good. You know, and like it really works so great. So
it's nice that we get to support each other.
See, you didn't know we could sing.
Yeah, truly.
One of us is a big jerk, but they're not showing it yet. So we're just going to play it out for a second season and see who the asshole is.
We have a common enemy on set. We do. And that's what bonds casts in my experience. Well, it's like COVID.
Oh.
And,
is
and
it
it's
we're like,
food.
who is it?
No, it's like that we can't eat food
and
on
that
set
we're hungry
because of COVID. So we're hungry. And like, because every group of, you know this.
I thought you were going to say like, Tom so-and-so in the sound department. I thought you were going to just straight out say somebody that we work with that isn't our enemy.
No, but I just mean like every time, in order to like really bond with people, you always have to have like one common thing to kind of complain about. Yeah. It's true. And we're all so grateful for the job and we love the job so much. And then our common thing is like that we're hungry.
We're very good at complaining.
About
anything.
Don't take away buffets. Whenever you worked on a set, you had little tables full of food that you'd go and graze all the time, and now we don't have that. But you know what? Some people have it worse. So
we do get small Tupperwares full of roast chicken sometimes.
You can't beat that, right? That's the best. Yeah. But Sara, so in season 1, your character really struggles with songwriting. You know, she wanted to write songs for the group originally. You know, the manager wouldn't let her, and now she finally gets the chance to do it. And so I'm wondering now, at this point in your career, I mean, if you had advice for like young songwriters out there that you wish you knew when you were starting out, what would that be?
I think the best thing I can say is write what you know, write honestly, write about things you really care about. Try not to go into it's really easy to become a mimic. You listen to something you love and then it just happens by osmosis. You're just like trying to recreate it somehow. But I think for young artists in particular, it's really scary to lean on the fact that your authentic and individual perspective is your superpower. And so the more willing you can be to be honest and forthcoming about what's really going on for you, I think it feels the scariest, it's the most vulnerable to do, but it's the most connective. It's like the most resonant thing you can put into the world.
It's the exact advice that I give young comedy writers is write what you know.
It's the exact thing I tell actors. And like until
Act what you know.
No, it's true. Until you like stop trying to be what you think they want when you walk into a room to audition.
Right.
And you start just entering honestly.
But that's the scariest, like you said, because if you get rejected and you're mimicking someone, it's on them. But if you are yourself and people go, not so much, we're not interested, then that's a direct,
Well, it's the way we train. I mean, if you think about how sometimes people train singers, they're like, sound like this. And that's the challenge. I mean, even as an actor, they try to, I think, sometimes remove your regionalism from your voice, which is the best part of you. The other day, we were on set, And I was making fun of something Paula said, and she was like, "Oh my God, do I sound like that? Is that how I sound in my speaking voice?" Do you know what I mean? And I was, and as though somehow or another it was something that was an insult when it was like the greatest compliment is the sound of where you come from is what makes you signature and so irreplaceable. It's such a beautiful thing, and I think we always have to remind ourselves.
I was probably saying condom. Condom. I'm from Illinois.
Yeah, being from the Midwest, too, I was told I had a Fargo accent when I first moved to LA, and that stuck. That still sticks with me to this day.
Yeah.
But moving on. So one thing I really love about the show, too, is the way you just play with the idea of fame, right? Just fame is a very tricky, very ephemeral thing. People chase it for their whole lives and never get it, or maybe they get it and then they lose it, and they're constantly trying to find it again. And Renee, I think no character on the show better than yours kind of exemplifies that. And the way Wiki just kind of carries herself in such a way that she's just always trying to get back to that spotlight. And just, I was wondering what it's like to play a character like that, and just in your own experience with fame. I mean, what has it taught you now being on the show?
It's so interesting because one of the questions I was asked the most in our promotional season was, who did you channel to be Wiki? Like, who is this based off of? And I'd always be like, me, kind of. I mean, I'm not this person, but it's the alter ego. It's the side of me that I squash, right? Like, there's just the part of you that's always fighting for something that if you're trying to be a person that people actually also like, you don't do it. Do you know what I mean? You don't push to sit in the middle. You don't push to be in the front. You don't push for the line. You try to be like, sit down. Someone, that's a person that I've kind of swallowed and said, sit down back there. And this show gives me the opportunity to let her, like any natural instinct I have in that realm, I'm just like, no, this is where it goes, right in this character. And sometimes I have to remember to turn her off when they say
sometimes
cut.
It's so wonderful when you don't turn her off.
But what I often say, what's so beautiful and so for sure when you're in this industry is not that you're going to make it, but you will be around people that do. You will get to study it. And I've always known that for the past 25 years of my career. I've always known, I get to see that. I've been around people who have had tremendous success. I've been around amazingly talented people who have not, in and out of it. And this is a great home for that information, this show in general and this character.
And then Paula, I believe at one point your character describes herself as deep-fried gay. Right. And I'm just wondering, you get to do that great, those moments in Cease and Desist where you really get to kind of play with the idea of what it means to be a gay icon. And I was wondering what it was like for you then to get to really play with that.
Well, it's funny because I stayed so long at SNL. I was there 20 years. So I was kind of like Nana comedy, like the Nana, the elder, let me tell you what we used to do. And then now being, an out gay person and then doing this character as a gay, playing a gay person, a gay dentist, which is completely different than my persona. Let me tell you, unlike Renee's. It's such a fun thing, but it also, because of my age, sometimes I'm not in touch with the really young gays, and if they, come at me about something, and then I come back kind of like, what? Like, it's sometimes something to navigate sometimes, because I have to stay current. I have to stay current and read the Gay Times and be current on all my things. But it is also really sweet. I used to love it when I was a writer, and now acting more in addition to writing, it's really fun to have young little gay nerd girls come up to me and have me sign their little photo or carabiner or whatever. I don't know, guys.
And then another thing I really love about the show is that music is really an escape for all of your characters, just kind of from the lives that you're now leading when the show first starts. And for your character, Summer, I think it's really interesting because on the surface, she has this very, fun life. She lives in a mansion, her husband's famous, all this stuff is happening. But obviously, as the show goes on, you see that all is not as it seems. Right.
Man, is it ever?
Exactly. But so I'm just wondering then, what do you think that the music really meant for Summer as the show went on there, as they gave her a chance to kind of get away from all that was happening in her life?
I mean, I do love the idea of the arc of the show being finding your voice for all of us, all of the characters. And I think one thing that I was a swing and didn't talk to anyone about before day one was that I wanted Summer to have a really specific affectation in her voice, a thing that she couldn't let go of because it was helping her to hide. Which was the way that she talks, like, you know, like the baby, like sexy baby, like you know, because she was the sexy baby, and so as the show progresses in season 1 and then in season 2, I'm tempering it and still trying to figure it out, but you know, her voice changes, and as she like tries to become her own person. And I think in the music too, it's really like, you know, she has some big leaps forward, I would say. A little sweet Summer. And season 2 has been so far pretty exciting and fun for all of us, I think. And I'm like excited. I want to do more music. I'm ready to do more music, more songs.
I think it's coming.
It is coming.
Yes.
I was just going to add one more thing on the gay side of it. Is one thing that I really love about the show is being able to play a gay woman of my age, you know, who's trying to get back into what we're doing. Like there's just a lot of breaking stereotypes that I really love, and also exploring the fact that, you know, I'm still wanting to be with my ex-wife and all this. I don't know, it just feels very normal in the best ways in terms of somebody that just wants to be happy, and it's not, the joke is not on the, it's just, I really love that.
But to piggyback like to what you're saying with Summer too, I think that there is, in any show, there's always an opportunity where like there's a funny thing that works for this character, so let's just keep doing that funny thing that works for this character, but that doesn't allow for growth of a character or multi-dimensions, right? And so very easily with any of our characters, you could just keep it at one place and one level, and what the writers and Meredith and Tina and Robert and everybody have done so incredibly is throughout like a very short period of time, those first 8 episodes that we did, allowed our characters to like really stretch. I mean, I just know personally, and I had this conversation with Meredith, I was like, I can't be doing season 4 still talking like a sexy baby. And, you know, so it was always like going to be part of the growth and the change, even though it's really funny. The way that she talks is really funny, and some of the things that you have that were like, you know, in the beginning.
And I'm going to slowly get a British accent, a very old kind of old-timey, like dirty street lady.
Wait, I was doing a British accent the other night after I'd had a couple tequilas, and I could not stop. It was the most fun ever. And I'm pretty sure it was terrible, but it was also, I had just watched that Adele thing, and I was just trying to be Adele.
Any big musical guest stars we should expect in season 2? Any dream collaborators for Girls5Eva on the horizon?
It rhymes with Adele. Wait, that's not how that works.
Is it Adele?
It's a European artist called Pell, who has a seaside hit.
Nothing that can be disclosed at the moment, and that's code for we don't know.
We don't know, and when we know, we can never say.
But they don't tell us intentionally.
But we do anticipate there'll be a few fun in the second half of. We've shot a few, like 3 already, so we're anticipating some people popping up.
We have some very fun guest artists joining us for sure.
Yeah,
one I'm looking forward
and we have
to
some new cast members this year that are really funny that are coming up that play people in our world now as we continue our musical climb.
All right, well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for, but I want to thank you for this wonderful conversation. And to our viewers, thank you for joining us, and please stay tuned for our next session.